Right now, are you able to see my screen? Janardhan,
Yes, bro.
are you able to see my screen?
Yes, bro.
Right. So, why we are doing disk partition? What is meant by disk partition?
Allotting, allotting some sort of memory to the.
So, as we come across, whenever we go in our Windows system,
System.
so we will be
Yeah,
creating some D drive, C drive, D drive, E drive, and F drive. So,
yeah,
what is the
yeah.
necessity of creating those partitions? How,
Sorry, bro.
why we are creating that C drive, D drive, E drive in this manner?
For the easy purpose,
Okay.
for easy purpose, we have to store and we have to allot some memory to the every disk and we have to store some stuff in the.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So when coming to the technical terms, so why we are creating some where disk partitions is, so limit available space to applications or users. The first thing.
Okay,
Okay, it will limit the
okay.
space. So for example, I have created
Yeah,
a user,
yeah.
I asked to use
That's why
only.
it's easy to, yeah, easy to search or something. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so it will limit the available space to applications or users. So that is the first reason. And next one is allows multi-booting of different operating systems from the same disk. So for example, same disk I am using for Windows as well as Linux. Whenever the system is booting, if I want, I can boot in the Windows machine, or else if I want, I can boot in the Linux machine. That means I can do into two parts. In one part, I can install Linux and I can install in the other part Windows. So whenever the system is starting, so I will press F12, and if I want to start in Windows, I can start in Windows. If I want to start in Linux, I can start in Linux. So that is what we can do. Dual booting, we call it as a dual booting. And second one, third one is of separate operating systems and program files from user files. So it will separate the operating system files as well as program files from the user files. So whenever we have installed our operating system, we get some program files, and the users also will create some files. So if these are mixed, if I delete the operating system file, does the operating system work? No, right? So in order to separate what are the operating system files and what are the user created files, so for that reason also we create this disk partitions. Okay, and next we also create some separate area for OS virtual memory swapping. Okay, so if RAM is busy, so we will be creating a space called it as swap space. So that content also we will see today. So that is the thing. And next one is of limit disk space usage to improve performance. So by limiting the disk space usage, okay, we can improve the performance. Okay, and we will also go with so diagnosing some tools and backup imaging. So for all these reasons, we are doing the disk partitions. So the first one is of limiting the space to the applications or users, and second one allowing multi-booting of different operating systems from the same disk, and next separate operating system and program files from user files, and next create area separate area for OS virtual memory, that is what we are calling it as a swap space. So that we'll see. And next limit disk space usage to improve performance, and also it's for diagnosing tools and backupping of images. So for all these reasons I am going to do this disk partitions. So when we are doing these disk partitions, so sir, I know that in Windows I am having a C drive, D drive, and all these things. So when coming across Linux, what are the drives I may have, or what are the partitions I may have? Okay, so that things we will see
Okay.
now. Do you remember this figure?
Yes, bro.
So what this is, so that the Linux contain the major partition as slash partition. Under the slash partition, I have all these things.
Yes, bro.
Okay, so that is what I want to show you. And when we come across, so right now how we are going to do the partitions. So we are using a utility called it as fdisk is a utility which is available in Linux. Fdisk, with the help of fdisk utility, we are going to create the partitions. Is that clear?
Okay.
And
Yes, bro.
similarly, they are even using G disk also from Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7 onwards. Okay, so they
Okay.
are using G disk also. Okay. Yeah, so they are using F disk, and they are using now in 7 onwards they are using G disk also. So this is a utility which is
Okay.
available right now. So that is all they are using. And for formatting, in order to format with some file system, mkfs. Okay, they are using mkefs utility. Okay, and so in order to mount, so they are using mount. So as I have told you, we will discuss about mount in the later sessions. So today we will go to discuss all these things. Okay, so these are the things which we are going to discuss right now. So and when we come across here, what happened to this? My machine is a little bit slow today. Why I don't know. Yeah. So think my this is my hard disk as we have discussed in the earlier sessions. So this is my hard disk. So what are the names that we will be getting for the disks? What are the naming conventions we get for the disks? We have discussed in one day. So we get the naming conventions as slash dev slash SDA for SATA hard disk.
Yes. Yeah.
Remember that? So for
Yes,
SATA
bro.
hard disk, we get this name and we get slash dev
Okay.
slash
Yes.
VDA. So that is virtual disk. If you are not having physical disk, virtual if you are creating something, so you get this virtual disk. And similarly, so slash dev slash HDA
HD.
for IDE hard disk. So these are the different type of hard disks which are available. So right now,
Yeah.
so my system is not having a physical hard disk. So same hard disk I am using for multiple purposes. So I created it as a virtual hard disk so that it will be displayed with the name called as VDA. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yes, bro.
Okay, and this is what my device. So this is right now my hard disk. So call it as slash dev slash VDB, not A, B even. Okay, so this is my hard disk. Right now what I will do, already we have done with slash partition. So now what I will do is I'll create some partitions in this. So how we will be doing the partitions in this is, so we can create some partitions like this. So this is one of the partition, and this is what the one of the partition I can create, and this is what the one of the partition. In this manner, how many partitions you can create in Linux is, you can create 4 partitions. Okay, is that clear?
Okay.
So in this manner you can
Yes, bro.
create how many partitions as 4 partitions. This is one of the partition, and this is also one of the primary partition. I can call it as a primary partitions. Is that clear?
Okay.
So, and
Yes,
this is
bro.
also one of the primary partition. And when we come across here, this is also one of the primary partitions. So primary partition, what it means by the term called it as primary partition is, so initially the operating system will allow you to create only 4 partitions. Okay,
Okay.
so if you want to have more number of partitions, then we are going for some other concept. So I'll later on tell you. So once we have created this partition, then what we need to do? We need to format it with a file system. Do you remember that?
Yes, bro.
So after creating the partition, we need to format this partition with some file system like this
Uh,
in order to
yeah.
save the data. So until and unless I have
Yes.
formatted with this file system, I will be not able to store the data as I have told you in the earlier sessions. Do you remember?
Yes, bro. Yeah.
So whatever the partitions which we are having, it is a raw partitions. So which we will not able to write some data onto that. So in order to write some data onto that, so what we need to do, I need to format it with a file system. So for
File
example,
system.
think, yeah, for example, think this is as some 1 TB hard disk. I have created each and every partition with 250, or I have created with some 200. So 200 GB for each and every one. Okay, I have used 200 for each and every one. 200. So what happens? 200, 200, 200, 800 is utilized, and remaining what happens? There is 200 free space is available. That free space will be not able to be used if I have done these four primary partitions.
Okay.
Do you get what I am telling? How I am
Yes, bro.
having 1 TB of hard disk. Okay, so in this 1 TB of hard disk, so I'm writing here, I'm having 1 TB of hard disk. What I have done, I have done 200 GB of partition. So this is what I have done P. In that manner, how many I have done? I have done 4 partitions. So how much space I have
Okay.
utilized right now? I have utilized only 800. Okay, 800 has been
Yes,
utilized.
bro.
And how much is left again?
Like it.
Again 200 is
200.
left. So for example, if you think here, already I am having 200 space here. So some 200 space is available here. Even though if it is available, you can't do some partitions in that. Okay, why? Because already you have done four partitions, right? You have done with four
Okay.
primary
Yes, bro.
partitions. So that means you can't do next whatever the space is available, it will throw you an error. You have done four partitions, so you can't do the other partitions.
Okay.
At the time, what you need to do? So you need to plan before itself. If I am having
Yeah.
1 TB of hard disk, how many I need to do? 1 TB divided by 4. In this manner, you need to do.
Yes, bro.
Is that clear?
Yes, bro.
So, as of now, this company people are doing. So think that P, this one I have allocated for project P one project, this P for another project, and this P for another project, and this manner. Four projects I have allocated.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so for each and every people I have allocated 200, 200, and 200. Okay,
Okay.
so if I want to have another project and I want to have some other partition, then how?
We have to subdivide it.
Okay, so before that, so which I can tell you is not subdividing. So what I can do here right now, already four partition has done. I need to insert a new hard disk into the Linux box, and I need to create some partitions again. Okay.
Again, like four partitions.
Yes, again I need to do. So if there is another new project, I need to do another one, new one. Okay. So in this
Okay.
manner, I need to install, and what I need to do is I need to create the partitions.
Okay.
Okay. So, but whenever I am having these requirement, so if I want to have more than four partitions, then we can go for a concept called it as extended partition. So, which is available in
By
Linux.
using
So, what?
by using the new hard disk.
Yeah, not only new hard disk. So if you want more than number of four partitions, then you can go for this concept called it as extended partition. So this extended partition will allow you to create more number of partitions. Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So when we come across here, it will now create you so more number of partitions. So before also, instead of creating this fourth one, if you have done here the extended one, then what happens? Now you will be able to create some logical partitions in that more number. The space will not be wasted here. Whatever the space we are having here, that will be not wasted here. Okay,
Okay, so
so now
yes,
all these partitions as primary partitions. So whenever we come across here, this is also a primary partition, and this is also a primary partition, and this is also a primary partition, and the fourth one I have made it as an extended
extended.
partition. So this is what that means is I'm telling to the operating system that I need more than four partitions. So under this extended partition, I'll be creating the logical partitions. Is that clear?
Okay. Yes, bro.
Okay, after creating this, again I will be formatting with the file system. So I know what are the file system. So any of the required file system, you can format it with this file system and you can start using of these particular partitions. Okay, so here the logical partition is also similar to that of a primary partition where it will be able to store some data on that. So until and unless, okay, so we are having this partition, so we can make use of it as a similar to that of primary only. There is no difference between primary and logical, but for operating system it knows only to create four partitions. So in order to overcome the drawback, we are having implemented a concept called it as extended partition. So with the help of this extended partition, what I am doing is I am creating this with the help of this extended partition. So that means I am telling to the operating system that I need more than number of four partitions. So I have created here the fourth partition, fifth partition, sixth partition, seventh partition in this manner. Is that clear?
Okay.
And
Yes.
when we come across the naming convention, here the first partition we will get it as slash dev. See here we will be getting here it as VDB1. Okay, this will be have VD and B1. So why? Because this is the first partition, right? So here the what is the name now? VDB1.
Yes.
And similarly here VDB2 and here VDB3. Okay, and here so VDB4. By default, if you are not giving this also, it will take it as 4 itself, and whenever you are creating some logical partitions, it will take it as 5. Okay, is it clear?
Okay.
So if you have,
Yes.
after creating of two partitions, if you have done the primary partition, after finishing of two primary partitions, if you have done here only the extended partition in this manner, even though the extended will take 4 only.
Okay.
Is it clear what I have told?
Yes, bro.
After creating of two partitions, if you have created this extended
The third
partition,
one is the extended. Yeah.
so if you have created here itself extended partition, even though it will take the number as 4 only.
Okay. Not.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
What
extended
about
will
we
have by
can?
default will have VDB4 and this VDB5.
Yeah.
In extended, if you are creating some logical partitions, that will have the naming conventions as VDB5, VDB6, VDB7 in this manner.
Okay. Okay.
Is that clear? So
Yes,
drives,
bro.
in the drive, if you are doing some partition, a number is allocated. VDB1, VDB2, VDB3. So this is what the naming conventions.
Okay.
Is that clear what I have discussed?
Yes, bro.
And so whenever we come across this hard disk, in the hard disk, in the first sector, so we are having the first sector, we will be having a hard disk part called it as MBR. Okay, which is very important for us. So what is this? I am calling it as MBR. So what does that mean is master boot record. Master boot record. So which is of, it will be of 512 MB. Okay, it will be of 512 MB.
Yeah. Me.
Okay, so which is not visible for us, but the operating system definitely will create some slot for this 512 MB. So what is this? I am calling it as an MBR. That is what the master boot record. Okay, so this master boot
Okay.
record is divided into three parts. So 446 MB, 446 MB per, so 446 for about the bootable information about our system. Okay, it contains the bootable information. Okay, and remaining, okay, it contains some 64 MB for 64 MB for partition table. So we are creating this partition table, right? So this is what we are
Yeah.
doing, some four partition, five partition. So that is main information is maintained in table called as partition table. And again 2 MB for some error checking in this particular drive. If you are having some errors in this drive, so it will use 2 MB for error checking. Is that clear?
Okay.
So this first,
Yes, bro.
not only in Linux, for Windows machine also this information will be present. So this is what the master boot record. So where the master boot record is responsible for, okay, or it is holding the information about the bootable information as well as the partition table information, and also it contains the error checking mechanism whether the disk is present or not, correct or not.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes,
and
bro.
whenever you have created these four primary partitions, so you need not to reboot the machine. Automatically, this partition table will get updated. Is that clear? But whenever you are creating this extended partition, you need to reboot your machine previously. But from now, you need not to reboot. Okay, we are having a command. If you execute the command, this partition table gets updated, similar to that of refresh. So if you do refresh, it automatically updates, right?
Yeah.
So similar to that, so we are having a command part probe. If you run the part probe command, so that I am telling to the operating system that this fellow is required more number of 4 partitions. He has created an extended partition that will be updated in this partition table. Instead of holding only these 4 partition values, it now holds the value of logical partitions also. That is VDB5, VDB6 if we create, that also will be holded by the system.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yes, bro.
Till now what we have discussed.
Yes, bro.
Shall I show in your practical?
Yes, bro.
So whenever we go with the partitions, okay, so whenever I have created some partitions, so there are steps to follow. Okay, so what are the steps is create a partition. Okay,
Uh,
so
uh-huh.
first step is create the partition. So by using fdisk utility I'll be creating these partitions. Okay, and second
Okay.
one is, so after creating the partition, format. Okay, so format with file system.
Okay.
So we need to format it with file system. So for that we use mkfs command. Okay. After
Okay.
formatting, we need to mount the partition. So in order to use that, we need to use that particular mount the partition. Okay. After mounting only, we can use that particular partition. For that we use mount command. Okay. And if this mount should be permanent, okay. If this mount should be
Okay.
permanent, then what I need to do? I need to write an entry in /etc /fs tab is a file where I need to write the entry in this. Is that clear?
Yes, bro.
Or once again, shall I repeat?
No, no need, bro.
So just simple terms I will tell you. So think this is a hard disk. So in this hard disk, I'll be using fdisk and I'll creating the partitions.
Yes, bro.
Okay. So how I'll be creating the partitions? Just with the help of fdisk utility, I'll be creating the partitions.
Okay.
Okay. So after that, I'll be formatting with the file system. I'll be mounting.
Yeah, MKFS command.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So right, Janardhan.
Yes,
So
bro.
fdisk, okay, hyphen L will give what are the disks which are connected to your system.
Okay.
So slash dev slash VDA1, which is already created and it is used for my Linux machine and it is getting installed and it is done.
Okay.
And I'm having VDB1. Okay, VDB is also available. Okay, which is of 10 GB. Okay, out of this VDB, I have utilized this partition. I have created some partition, first partition in that. One partition I have created.
Okay.
Okay, so on that day to
Okay.
explain for you only, I have created this. Okay, but right now I'll do some other
Yeah.
partitions and I'll show you clearly. Okay, this is second
Okay.
virtual hard disk which is present in my machine, VDB1, VDB. So in that VDB, I have created only one partition, one. Okay,
Yes, bro.
so
Okay.
you have disk, so slash dev slash VDB. So drive name. If you give here, again we will be entering into a new command prompt of fdisk utilities command. If you want to know,
Okay.
if you want to interact with this, you need to know some commands again here. So how we will be doing whenever we enter into va editor, if I press I, then I will be going into insert mode. If I press escape, I will be coming into command mode. If I press shift colon, I will be going into execute mode. So there are some modes, right? So here also this is a command mode.
Yeah.
So if you don't know about commands, if you press M, you will get the list of commands to be used here. So if you want to
Okay.
print the partition table, you can use P. Okay, it prints the partition
Okay.
table. Right now I am having only one partition it is giving me. And in order to quit this, Q. Okay, in order to save and quit, write tables to disk and exit, W. And if you want to
Okay.
create a new partition, N.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, I want to create a new partition. I'm pressing N. See here, it is asking me
Okay.
whether you are going to create a primary partition or whether you want to create an extended partition.
Fine, fine.
So
Okay.
why it is asking extended? If you want more than a number of four, then you can go with an extended. Right now I want
The
only
partition.
second one, so I'm
For
going with primary itself.
go with the primary partition.
Primary,
Yeah.
yeah. So see, the first one is already created, so it is now showing you is as default is 2.
Two. Yeah.
Okay, and here the first sector value. Okay, so what is this first sector value is? So when we come across here, here already one has done, right? Till this one first partition has been done. So this last sector will be the first sector for this, Janardhan.
Okay.
So from here I have
Okay.
created one partition till this. So now I want to create
Yeah.
a partition from this sector to this sector, right? So somehow
Yes,
the
bro.
last sector will be the first sector of the second partition.
Secondary partition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but I want to give the last value. I need not to give the first value, but I want to give the last value till where it has to be created. If I didn't give the
Yes,
last
bro.
value, it will take by default, it will take the last what is there that will be used. That means completely it will be
Okay.
using. If you give some value, it
Yeah.
will stop here. If you don't give, it will end here.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes, bro.
So first sector I am not giving. By default, it is taking the end of the last first sector's first partition's last sector. See, if you want to give last sector also, you can give the last sector. If you are not giving, as I have told you in this figure, what happened? So it will go up to end, up to here.
Okay.
So, but I want to stop here itself. Why? Because I want to create more number of partitions. So I am giving some value. So plus, okay, and followed by if you want to give KBs, MBs, and GBs. So I want to give 1 GB, put it as 1 capital G. If you want to give 500 MB, 500 capital M. So here the format is there. Plus followed by size followed by KBs or MBs or GBs. Okay, so if you see right now,
Okay.
so I'm having VDB2 which is created and it is having some 1 GB of the partitions. Is that clear?
Yes, bro.
Now right now I have created second one. Is this is saved? Whatever I have done till now, it is not yet saved. If I press W, then only it will save and exit.
Okay. WQ.
W only. See here, M. If you press M, you can see. So what is the command for
Yeah.
saving and exiting? W. Write table to disk and exit.
Before you are using every time WQ, no? I
That
think
is
every
VA
time
editor. That is
before
VA
classes.
editor. That is VA editor, which
Okay.
is the fdisk utility. So in this utility itself, we
Okay.
are having some commands here. If you press Q,
Okay.
quit without saving. This is some other
Okay.
thing. So P for print the partition table. N for add a new
Okay.
partition.
Got it, bro.
Right? So right now I have created the
Yes.
partition, right? So I want to save and exit.
Yeah.
So how
Yes,
to
bro.
save and exit? W.
W. Yeah.
See here, it has been done. Partition table
Okay.
has been altered. I have told you some
Okay.
partition table there in their master boot record. Do you remember?
Yeah.
So in this, I'm having this partition table, right? See here, I have written
Yeah.
some partition table. That partition table is updated right now. That is what it is giving the information.
Yes, bro.
Okay, a partition table has been altered, right?
Yes, bro.
So part probe, okay, slash dev slash vdb. So we'll update the partition table if it is not updated any of the thing. So if I run this, and in order to format with the file system, mkfs dot what is the file system I want to format. If it is ext4, you will press it as ext4. We have seen different type of file systems, right?
XFS,
Yes.
EXT3. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the difference? Also I have told you, right?
Yeah.
So that is what there you can see. So, but right now I am formatting with ext4. In which partition I want to format? V, D, B, and I want to part
VDB2.
2, right? So I am formatting with that.
Yeah.
See, MKFS has been formatted. That means right now it is ready to use. So it is formatted on 28th December. This file system has been brought in 28th December 2013, and this file system label is okay, and OS type is Linux, and block size is of 4096, and log 2, and fragments also 4096, and striped 0 blocks. And it also, as I have told you, there is inode numbers for this
Not really.
particular partition. So from this inode numbers only it is allocating, and information is stored in the form of blocks. These many blocks are available,
Class.
and already
Okay.
1307 blocks, 5% of reserved for super user in this also. So blocks
Okay.
will be reserved for the super user. First data block 0. Okay, maximum file system blocks, how many I am having maximum? These many. Okay, and 8 block groups. Okay, I can have some 8 block
Okay.
groups in this man. So this gives information about that particular file system as I have discussed on the day. So the information is stored here in the form of blocks. So do you remember that? So here we are having small blocks. Okay, so the information will be in the form of blocks, I have told you, right? That day we have drawn
Yeah.
this figure also. So here in this
Yes.
block again, here another one block. So these blocks, how many blocks are there? And here also I am having inodes. Okay, for every file is represented with some inode number. Okay, so the data is not stored on only the entire single block. So the data is divided and it is stored on different blocks. Do you remember that? So each and every
Yes, bro.
block will have 4 KB. So if your file is having 10 KB, 4 KB here, 4 KB here, and 2 KB here, it will be stored. The
Okay.
information will be stored in the form of blocks. So that is what it is giving the information, complete information about that file system blocks. How many are free, how
Okay.
many will be there for you, okay, how many are for super user. So all those information is giving.
Okay, bro.
So I have formatted with this file system. See here it is writing inode table also has been done. So for every file I am having an inode table. So inode number. So that inode number is allocated from this inode table itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so and creating some journals. So it is creating the journal in order to recover the file system. So right now I have formatted with the file system. Next, what is the step?
Mount level.
Mount the file system. So right now I
Yes,
have
bro.
checked with df-h. So do I have this partition vdb2? Did it mount somewhere else? No, right? So mkdir I
Yeah.
am creating slash dha, and Janardhan I have created. So already Janardhan is existing. So I'll create jn. Okay, and right now mount. Okay, slash dev slash vdb. Okay, to where I want to mount to slash jan. Okay, so it mounts on that. So if we check with df-h, so
Okay.
see here, now vdb2 is mounted on which folder? So I have created a folder and I have mounted on vdb2.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
right now, if you move cd slash jan, and okay, so if you do some files, if you create here, that will be saved in which drive? It will be saved in the
VB2.
vdb2 drive. So if you are
Yeah.
right now you are in Janardhan, so that means whatever the content you are creating some file. So touch file one. This file gets created in which part? So in the Janardhan folder. So you think that the content is storing in the Janardhan folder, but the content is saving in this drive, call it as VDB2
VB.
partition. So if you want to take the backup of this VDB2, if you take the backup of this folder, that is enough.
Okay.
Is that clear right now? And
Yes.
right now I am trying to unmount this particular slash jn. So as I have discussed in the earlier sessions, so what it will tell, see, so the target is busy. Why? Because already we have mounted and I am in that particular folder and I am using right now that. So it is telling that
Okay.
target is busy. So if I have come out of that folder and if I use the same command unmount, so it will be unmounted. Is that clear? So if you check
Okay.
df-h, so see here, is that mounted?
Huh?
No, right. So again, if you want to mount, you can use mount command. Okay.
Okay.
So, but whenever you do this mount, so this mount, if you are doing with some command prompt, okay, now it has been mounted, right?
Yeah.
So this mount is not permanent. If your system, my system
Okay.
has been rebooted, that means restarted, this mount, again, it will be unmounting automatically. Again, you need to manually
Okay.
mount.
Okay.
So in order to overcome that drawback, so we are having a configuration file fs tab, so slash etc slash fs tab. In this file, I need to mention that, okay, so where it need to be mounted.
Okay.
Okay, so if I have written this slash dev, what is the name? Slash dev slash vdb. Okay, and where I want to mount slash jan, and what is the file system we have formatted? ext4. Okay, so
Yes,
already we are having here the format. This is the format. So drive name followed by the partition and followed by the file system and followed by defaults, and we are having, so you can put it as 00. So later on we'll discuss about this 00. So and save and exit. So right now it is mounted, right?
yeah,
So right now I am unmounting this. So if you check here, it has been not mounted. So I use, instead of mount all slash dev slash, I use mount hyphen a. Mount hyphen a will check the configuration file etcfs tab, and if it is not mounted, it will mount. Similarly, whenever your system has been rebooted also, automatically it will mount. You need not to execute this command. The operating system will execute this and it will be mounting this. So wrong fs type, bad option or bad super block. So something we have written wrong in that. VDB, after this VDB, what is the partition we need to give it, right? See
yeah.
here I have given only VDB. I have given here only VDB. I have not mentioned 2. So it thrown me error. Is that clear?
Yes, bro.
So right now if I execute this mount hyphen a, so if I see here df hyphen h, automatically it got mounted. Is that clear?
Yes, bro.
So while the system is rebooting also, it will mount, it will execute this command automatically in the background, so that if there is unmounted also, it will get mounted. So if you do only like this, so slash dev slash, okay, vdb2, and if you are mounting with the help of this command, this will exist until and unless the system is rebooted. That means restarted. After restarting, it automatically unmounts. Is that clear?
Yes, bro.
Any doubts?
No, bro.
Okay. And as I have told you, we can also have some swap space also. What is a swap space? Do you know what is a swap space?
Yeah. Swapping.
Yeah, swapping. The word is clear, right? You know
Yeah.
swapping, right? I hope you have done this
Yeah.
swapping of two
In
numbers.
C language, we have to swap the numbers.
Yes, 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 exactly. Here also you can go with the swap spaces. What happens here is, so normally, your system will have some RAM, right? Normally your
Yeah.
system is having some RAM. Okay, so might be you are using some RAM of 2 GB. Okay, so think you
Yes,
are
bro.
having this 2 GB RAM. Okay, so if this 2 GB RAM is busy, okay, that means it is allocating all this 2 GB RAM. Then if you want to have a new RAM, what you want to do, you need to buy the new RAM and you need to insert into your system. But why, right now I'm having that, not having that much money. So what I need to do, so what you can do is, you can create some partition in this disk itself. You're having hard disk, right? So in this hard disk itself,
Yeah.
what you can do, you can create some space here, and you can make use of this partition as a swap space. Swap space in the sense, so whatever the partition you have created here, so that particular partition, whenever this RAM is busy, it will make use of this swap space whatever you have created here, and if this is busy, it will make use of this. I'll create some partition. So how much partition I need to create is double of the RAM. If it is 2 GB, you can create 4 GB. If it is 4 GB, you can create 8 GB of swap space. If it is 5 GB, you can create 10 GB. If it is 6 GB, also you can create only 10 GB. Swap space is restricted to create only up to 10 GB, not more than that. Normally, we call it as a double of RAM. Okay, so if it
Okay.
is 8, if it is 5, you can go with 10, but if it is 6 also, you need to go with 10 itself, not more than 10. Is that clear?
Okay.
So what is the use of swap space? Whenever your RAM got busy, if you're not having money and if you're not able to buy another RAM, you can create a partition in your disk, and instead of, you can create the partition, and after creating partition, you should not format it with a file system. You should make this particular partition as a swap space. Then the system knows, instead of this RAM, I am having some swap space. If this is busy, the system, operating system, it automatically diverts all the processes to this particular space. That space we are calling it as a swap space. Is it clear?
No, bro, I am getting some disturbance, bro.
I am able to hear you properly, man. Okay, then tomorrow I'll show you that practically. Okay, go ahead in this partition still now. Janardhan,
Okay, bro.
are you there? Hello.
Hello.